All right, we're here with offensive coordinator Tony Haynes. How you doing, Tony?
Doing good.
Kind of want to talk to you about coming off another win for us, 45-21. Kind of take us through the game a little bit from a coach's perspective.
Well, we kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, which I think part of that had to do with the 11 a.m. start for the game. That was the earliest one we've dealt with all season long.
Right.
And we talked to the kids a lot about it during the week and did everything we could to prep them for it. It's really tough to get ready for an 11 a.m. start when you also got a 8-hour bus drive the night before with it, so you're not going to sleep all that great the night before. We talked to our kids about trying to focus on their Thursday night sleep, making sure that they knew that was going to be the most important night. Take care of it Thursday. It's going to help you the best on Saturday. Tried to prep them for the scenario. You're not going to feel great Saturday morning. We had got them up at 6:15 in the morning, and they all got, a lot of them got 7:30 classes, but still getting up at 6:15, just a little different deal on
Doesn't
Saturday.
Doesn't matter who you are for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we had us a little bit of took us a little bit of time to get going, but I think once we got rolling in the first half, I think once the momentum got going, I think we kind of took off from there and jumped on a lead, and we had some scenarios late at the end of the first half that slowed us down a little bit. Come out second half, and Iowa Central was ready to play the second half. I think their first drive of the game, I think they occupied it for, I don't know, something like 6 minutes or something like that. I know in the third quarter, I think they had total possession time was over 10 minutes for the third quarter, so we didn't get to see the field a whole bunch. They were ready to jump out there, but
it kind of flip-flopped because the first quarter we had it for about 10 minutes and some odd seconds, and then
those were the first and the third quarter were the two that were really you could feel the momentum swings in that one. Biggest deal I was proud of is when we got a game that probably should have been a little bit more lopsided even than it was. When we did find ourselves in a crunch situation at the end, we had to finish the game. Our kids showed up and did that.
Right.
And so I was really proud of them on that part of it.
You mentioned the 11 o'clock start. Was it because of the distance that we had that early of a game, or weather? Obviously in Iowa.
I don't know. I know in the Iowa Conference, I know they usually their games up there are 1 o'clock kickoff games. I know last year we went up to Iowa Western. We had a rain delay that I think pushed us back to like 6 o'clock or something. But originally the idea was to start at 1.
Oh, wow.
That's usually where they play their games. I don't know why Iowa Central wanted to go 11 a.m. Maybe a couple more, a little bit longer in the afternoon. You get a couple more cold beers after the game or something. I don't know, but but they wanted to go early, so we went early.
Hey, it turned out to be in our favor.
Yes,
I'll take that any day. Mo Hasan, second game back, kind of played in and out with NEO. Went 19 for 25, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, and since his return, no interceptions, no turnovers by him. What does having a quarterback like Mo being reinserted after missing about 4.5 weeks because of his injury?
It's been a little bit of a bolt of lightning. Mo's got a bunch of great tools. I mean, Mo's a good football player.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget, since he's a Syracuse bounce back, a lot of people forget and think of him as being a lot older guy, and he's really not. This is his first year of college experience on the field. So what he's done this year has been really from just a freshman standpoint, and he's done a really good job for us. Made some big plays happen, so we've been real proud of him. Now, if you go back the last couple of weeks before Mo really got back into form, Aloysius Jackson had been a guy who was sitting at kind of number 4 on the depth chart earlier on in the season, and then got a chance to get into it, and it was really one of those chances where, like, hey, if you can't do it, nobody can do it because we got nobody left and down the depth chart, so we all need you. And he really responded, did a great job in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, at the NEO game, we were up there calling it, and just watching the offense click with Jackson was really good, considering, I mean, Jack Diamond did well against Butler and in the following week, but to see how the offense was clicking, you were able to run the option with him, and you were able to run with Henderson as well with Jackson. So, I mean, that's kind of a dual threat that you being the coordinator, you have at your disposal.
Well, one thing that's been great about it is, early on going into the season, and I've been absolutely as high on this quarterback room as any group of QBs I've ever coached. And really, if you look at it different parts of the season, Mo's kind of always been the number one guy. But when it came down time to rely on Jack Diamond, what does he do? He goes out and he beats Butler.
Yeah.
When it's time to rely on Aloysius Jackson, what does he do? He goes and every week gets better with the offense. And then we see the big output that we finally got against NEO. And a big part of that was because of Aloysius. So between the three of those guys, between Mo and Jack and Aloysius, I couldn't be happier about those three. And they're all, really pretty young. And so it's been a growing experience. And they've shown great leadership. They've been accountable for everything. They've been guys who have taken on responsibility that maybe they weren't ready for, but they responded. So I've been really excited about that. I think that, especially the other two, growing up in their moments has helped Mo to grow up, because even when Mo came back off an injury, for him it wasn't a situation of, hey, look, you're healthy, so you're just going to walk right back in the number one spot. Well, he had to go beat out a guy who was playing really well in Aloysius. So the competition, I think, helped him get back to form. We saw Aloysius a lot more against NEO, and that kind of showed you a little bit. Mo was still knocking a lot of rust off that week of game prep, getting ready for that game, and Aloysius was still playing really well, and that kind of forced Mo going into the Iowa Central game. Hey, look, if you're going to take over the job, then you're going to have to do it in practice every day.
Right.
And so Lowe really pushed Mo to get back to his form. And so it's been really exciting. And we got two guys right now that we know can go win a game for us.
Right.
And so really excited about them. And you'll continue to see both of those guys moving forward. I think Mo's kind of got himself back in that starting role, but Aloysius has been so good for us, such a big part of the offense. There's no way I'm going to keep him off the field. He just been too good as a teammate. So
And you mentioned kind of the Bull to Lightning when Mo came back, but 3 weeks ago, I think it could have been easy for a lot of people on the team to have been really down and just really and I was really impressed with just following Cole's tweets for the Garden City game about how just he kept fighting. And I saw a lot of some coaches tweeting out that they were really proud of how you guys fought. Yeah. And then that NEO game, I think the opening drive, he goes right down the field and you guys score. I was like, okay, they really want to win. They want to win the season. And I think that's really impressive. That I was up in the booth. I'm not a part of athletics. We were just up there broadcasting. I was listening to people talk. They were really impressed with just the attitude with a lot of players on the team. And that was just kind of a blast to see. And then, of course, this last week up in Iowa getting the win, I know a lot of people were really excited back home here in Coffeyville. It was really kind of fun to see just how everybody's kind of growing and the bad looks kind of getting away and everybody's getting healthy. And it's just been a really good, been a blast to watch all these young men just grow and evolve.
Well, one of the things that that you get lost looking at a lot of times is when you look at, and I'm only talking about our side of the ball on offense. When you look at our side of the ball, we've only had 3 players. When we started the season, we had 3 guys that had any game experience going into the season, and so you take that, we're 11 minutes, or we got 11 minutes left in the first quarter against Hutch, week 1 of the season. We're up 25-0. We got a bunch of really talented kids, but they ain't never played in a college game. A lot of them were finding out. Wait a minute, I thought it was 12-minute quarters. What happened to high school?
Right.
So that first game against Hutch, that was a big learning lesson. But we saw there's something special about these kids. The kids that we got, and I love them to death. I could not be happier to coach a group of guys, because one thing they got about them is they love playing football. So every week when you think, man, that game got away from us, we had a bad break, whatever happened, we're coming off that loss, and you're waiting for these guys to just walk out there to practice and just all the hope be gone. But the one thing they all walk out there with every Monday when we kind of get back into it is they walk out there and go, hey, we get to go play another game on Saturday. I love football. Let's go do it. And I love that about them. Their focus is always on the right thing. So,
well, that's building off for next year. I know this year right now 2-6 isn't the record that we would want, but you have 8 guys, 3 guys who have game experience, but 8 guys who are getting their feet wet this year to what could lead to next year, a lot of success. I mean, you would expect, Jack Diamond and Jackson to return, and hopefully Hasan comes back as well. So, I mean, having that core nucleus at the most important position, that kind of experience is invaluable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's if we were talking about a Division I football program, one of our big deals every year would be our senior class. How many seniors you got? Really, how many upperclassmen you got? Even juniors make such a huge effect there. Well, in junior college, you're really talking about the difference of, it's not so much freshmen and sophomores. It's, hey, how many guys do you have who have any game experience? Lake Hoffman has done a great job for us this season. Lake does an awesome job at tight end. Well, Lake didn't have a ton of game experience last year, but he did have game experience.
Right.
He had a chance to be in games, see the speed of the game. He knew what he was getting into. He knew what the preparation had to be like in the off season. So a guy like him becomes invaluable to us. We can rely on him week in and week out. Whereas, especially in the first half of the season, if you've got a kid who's never played in a college game before, he's kind of figuring it out as it goes along, and you've got to allow him to go through that growth process and stick with him and develop him, and hang in there with him, and go through all the trials and tribulations with him while he's growing up. That's just part of how coaching is at the junior college level.
Right.
So having guys that have game experience, looking forward to next year, that's going to be, with this crew right here, this group that we're going to have coming back on offense is going to be electric, in my opinion. And I think we showed that against NEO, 2 weeks ago. We played a game. We should have won that game. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind we should have won that game. Even at the end when we let them get back into the game, they score the touchdown late. Well, what do? We find a way to drive 80 yards down the field. We get to the 15-yard line, and Mother Nature shows up with a hurricane. It was insane.
I don't know. It was a monsoon.
Yeah.
It was so, like you said, insane.
Yeah.
Kind of turning page with Justin Henderson, your running back. I mean, another outstanding season for him. I mean, he's averaging 80.3 yards per game. He has 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. This game went 15 rushes for 93 yards. Again, I mean, having Hasan and Jackson, and then having a guy like Henderson in the backfield, that opens up a lot of things that you can do. And kind of like, talk to us a little bit about Justin. Like, what kind of person is he, player, and how dynamic is it to have him?
Justin's a great kid. Justin comes from a wonderful family. Actually, I was the one that actually did his in-home visit back home in Florida down there. And I tell you, phenomenal. I go in, the whole family's there. When I say the whole family, I'm not talking, mom, dad, brother, sister. I'm talking mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt and uncle, grandma, grandpa, grandpa too. They're all there. Cousins are there. Everybody's there,
Good support system.
Oh, great support. In fact, they sat me down in the middle of the living room like I'm in like a 20 question, hey, everybody get me. They kind of put my feet to the fire. But shows you the family that he comes from, shows you the support system he has back home. He's got good people in his life. He's a good kid.
Right.
He was a guy that in high school, just like all the rest of our guys on the team, he was the man. When he was playing high school ball, he was the number one running back, the guy. Going through a redshirt season last year was tough for him, just because he wasn't used to being in the background. That's not what he's been doing.
Right.
So he kind of went through that first year growing up, became a guy who gets it. He's accountable. He's a guy we hang our hat on. And you look at last Saturday, we get into a big third down situation. We've got to go get the first down. I think we're down to 3 minutes left in the game or so, and we need this third down just to get this drive going so we can go run out the clock.
Right.
And who shows up for us? Justin Henderson. Strong back. He's a guy who, one of the things he's gotten great on this year is he's really learned to use his vision and read things the right way. He's grown up a lot mentally, X's and O's wise as a football player. One of the things I'm proud about with him. early on in the season, he was making a lot of big things happen with just his talent and ability and how strong he is. Kid's amazingly strong. Might be pound for pound the strongest kid on our whole team.
Really?
So once we started, growing up a little bit and learning, hey, look, when you make this read, you want to hit it on this side of the hole, or this is the angle you want to be taking. Press this aiming point. The better he got at those things, and the smarter he got, just playing the game up here and doing the right things. He's just gotten better every single week, and he's doing a great job for us. So our backfield is really young right now. We've got. Against Iowa Central, we had 6 different guys carry the football just at the running back position. That's just kind of a testament to how talented our backfield is right now. So that was why, going into, when Mo got hurt and then Jack went down, we started looking at, okay, do we need to keep focusing on the passing game? We've got all this talent in the backfield. What should we focus on? And we came out, we started running zone read and started doing some stuff where we even let the QBs be a part of the running game. And so doing that part of it really opened up a whole new dimension for us, and I think we kind of found ourselves a little bit.
Especially with Jackson. I mean, we talked about it a little earlier. I mean, the kid's an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to have an extended look at NEO, and just watching him as he was able to read stuff and then make his moves. I mean, you're right. It opened up a whole other dynamic for you guys.
Yeah.
But Tristan Bailey. Kind of had a down year, I would say. Not even an up and down year, but the past couple weeks he's kind of rewarded your guys' faith in him. I mean, he went 3 for 3 against NEO, then 1 for 1 against Iowa Central, 3 for 3 in the point after. So I mean, the intestinal fortitude of that kid to be able to, hey, look, I'm having a down year, but I'm going to reward my coaches for sticking with me. Because again, I mean, like Zach said earlier, it'd be very easy for the players and the coaching staff to scrap what had been happening, what you guys have been working on, and go a different direction. So, I mean, kudos to you guys and for Tristan for being able to stick with it.
Well, I appreciate that. That really, the kicking game, the whether it's our, the punt, whether it's the long snappers and the punters, whether it's a short snap on field goal and the field goal kickers, Coach Liker has been a guy who's been heavily involved in that part of it and really stayed close around it. And, Coach Liker's kind of spearheaded that, hey, we're going to keep, sticking with Tristan. He's going to find a way to get through it. And sure enough, it's turned out great for us. I think going through, those kickers can be a funny position, especially mentally. Those guys can they lose some confidence, and it's a tough deal. You can lose a guy for a whole season. So Tristan, with some of the misses he had early on, we were worried that, oh boy, he's going to tank it. He's going to, mentally fall apart. And he never did that. He stuck with it, hung in there. That's it. That's it. So we've been real proud of him. And you talk about just a great kid. He's going to be getting some looks on the recruiting trail too, and we're expecting big things out of him.
And then on the defensive side, Vernon Dasher with another defensive touchdown. It's 4 for the year. This year, this game it was a forced fumble and a fumble recovery that he took back for 20 yards. Again, different side of the ball, but how does that, as an offensive coordinator, you have guys like that on the defense, so how does that, with your game planning, how does that? We've
got great kids over there on that side of the ball, and they've shown a great ability all year long to create turnovers. Should go back to the Butler game. They scored 3 touchdowns that game. I think especially after Mo went down, I think we had like a two-week period where we were outscored by the defense by like 2 touchdowns or something like that in a 2-week period. But no, they've done a great job, and no doubt Vernon has been the spearhead on that whole deal. Vernon, in all honesty, Vernon might be the leader of this whole team. He's the right kind of kid. He gives great leadership to the rest of the guys around, even in tough situations, after tough losses, and we've dealt with our fair share of tough losses this year. Vernon, his words, just his just demeanor overall, the way he's been as a teammate has been phenomenal for us. He's really been the perfect example of what this program needs to have around here. So he's been phenomenal, and then just his ability as a player. I know his recruiting is starting to to pick up. But Vernon Dasher, he needs to be playing Power 5 football somewhere for a big program. I mean, he's a championship caliber kid. So
right, he's a specimen to watch. I mean, even if you don't know anything about football, you know that that guy's doing something good.
Yeah,
just by watching the way he does it.
Well, and being outside of both the football team and athletics, I just know that his reputation on campus, in the classroom, one-on-one with teachers, is you can't get any higher. I think he's just a wonderful person, and that goes back to the leadership thing. I assume he's a hard worker, both in the off season and during the year. But it's when you can do that and have a smile on your face and have a good attitude that trickles down everywhere. And I think as good of a football season as he's had, I think character-wise, I think he's even better. He's one that you look at next year. He's one. It's going to be hard. You can't replace that kid.
Right.
Just too hard to do. He's got too much on the field and off the field that just works for you. He makes us a better program. So
that's one thing. The consistency from when we did our preseason interview with Coach Flo, down to our interview with you today. The consistent thing is we have good kids. We have good players, good kids. You don't have to worry about them on or off the field, regardless of what some other conference football coaches may have said about us, and we won't get into that too much.
You talking about people that love the cameras, right?
I love the cameras, you know what I mean? And apparently, I guess their team likes to sleep.
Cameras aren't all bad, though. Hey, come on now. As a media guy, cameras aren't all bad.
No, no doubt. No. Some of us coaches love the cameras more than others.
Right. And like I said, we won't get into that, but we do have some really good players and good student athletes, and it's not just what's said here. I mean, I get the privilege to be able to go to every single coach and talk to them. And when we talk about football, because right now that's in season, and volleyball, it's the good players and they're good student athletes. We don't have any guys. We don't have any athletes that are out there failing a bunch of classes. We don't have guys out there who are a nuisance in the community or anything like that, or doing stupid stuff. And we have guys who are here who they're out there busting their butt on and off the field. And so I mean that's a testament to what we're doing as a coaching staff here in the college. So I mean that's something that,
and a lot of times that doesn't get celebrated enough.
No,
I think it's way more fun for a lot of media people to point out all the negatives of everything. It's just not as much fun for a lot of people to point out, man, that guy's just a really good guy, a really hard worker. It's a little bit boring, but you know what? It's way more valuable to talk about that.
Well, this recruiting class in particular, we worked really hard on this class, and really I think a big part of it was the individual work of coaches we got on staff, spending time, not just trying to find out whether or not a kid was talented. We were able to turn on the film and know these things, but our coaches did a great job of really vetting these players, finding out, hey, who's going to bow out when we need them the most? Which of these guys are going to turn it down? And Kevin Bryson, our assistant, our co-defensive coordinator, D-line coach, he was all over the road and did a phenomenal job of being able to go into a place and be able to tell you as a coordinator, as a head coach, or as a guy who needs to know about that position, this is what people are saying about this kid. I've been around it. He was able to get a real feel for the kids that he recruited. Coach Jared Smith, being on the road down in Florida this last year, another guy who hit it hard, spent time getting to know people down there, so he really had a sense of the guys he was offering. Tyler Russellton, our tight ends coach, another young guy, he's in his second year of coaching, did the same thing in Memphis this year. I mean, all the guys on our staff really did a great job of getting to know the guys we were recruiting and being able to tell us not just simply, hey, this kid's talented, but more importantly, coach, this is what we're talking about. We've sat and talked about exactly what we want out of each position, out of each type of player. Well, this one's got it. He's our kind of kid. He's accountable. He cares about his family. For the most part, this is junior college, so we're not, going after high academians most of the time. Usually we're finding kids who did slip up academically, but the biggest thing for us was, hey, let's make sure that we got kids that when we get down to, late October and November, when it's getting cold outside, or if we've gone through a bad part of the season, let's go find kids who we know aren't going to bow out on us. And here we are talking about a 2-6 season right now with a bunch of kids who show up to practice every day, work their butt off. That goes back to the legwork that our assistant coaches did on the road this year, and it's made such a huge difference. So
Yes, sir. Well, Tony, we appreciate you coming down and talking with us and everything.
Absolutely.
We look
Appreciate
forward
everything
to
you guys do for us.
We appreciate that. Look forward to talking to you guys after hopefully a victory against Dodge City.
That's the plan.
Yes, sir.
We'll go get that done.
Yes, sir.
It'll be a good game. It'll be
Yeah.
fun. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.